Hey guys, Kevin Newsmeyer for this week of Big Brother 17. As you guys know, I do this weekly, and this is going to be episodes 6 through 8. And I was really looking forward to this week. I mean, last week was pretty crazy, especially for week 1. This season in general is pretty crazy. I mean, this week was crazy. Last week was crazy. This week was even crazier, and we're only on week 2, and it's pretty awesome the way they're doing that. I'm really loving this season. I think this might go down as one of the best seasons of Big Brother ever. I think it really will. Um, and honestly, I'm just really loving this season, I have to say. And I'll talk about why. There are many reasons why I'm really loving this season much as I am. But let's get into this week, which there's a lot to talk about, definitely. And in order for me to do that, I actually have to look at some notes because by the way, guys, the reason this review's up later is because one, this camera took forever to load. Like it wasn't loading. The camera I usually record my Big Brother videos on, it was not loading. I was like sitting here waiting for it to load. Nothing was happening, and I'm like, okay, why isn't it loading? It wasn't loading. I kept waiting, and nothing was happening. So really annoying, but whatever. And then I tried to do it again, but this loud feedback started coming in. I'm like, where the fuck is that coming from? So obviously I had to turn that off. I had to restart the entire camera, and then I had to restart the video. So if you guys are wondering why this is up later than it is, that's why. But let's get into this. I don't really want to talk about this, but let's get in this week because I overall really love this week again. And something I love is that there's really no one running the house this year. I mean, last year it was the same people running the house every week. No one really these people controlled the nominations. And this year people are really thinking for themselves, which is something that I really love. And these people know how to play Big Brother. And that's something I think is really good. No one is really like, oh, what should I do? Like, there's no HOH going to someone. They know what they want to do and they stick with it. And I definitely really love that. And that's something I think is definitely very good this year. So basically, as we know, Becky and Shelli last week were crowned the HOHs of the week, and once again they plan on working together, which I like seeing. I like seeing that the HOHs want to work together. Um, However, we get into this whole thing with Davon and Audrey. I mean, definitely things go really crazy with them, and Audrey, I don't like anymore. I really don't. Because all Audrey is doing at this point is creating unnecessary drama that doesn't need to be made. I mean, let's just get into this. Because basically, Vanessa talks about Audrey is acting out and telling people that she's this mastermind of an all-girl alliance. And, basically, Audrey's told the guys that and says Vanessa has been working hard. And Audrey then goes to tell Vanessa that there's stuff going around on an all-girls clique with her, Liz, and Jackie. And when she's saying this, I'm like, she's just trying to antagonize her. And for whatever reason, she ends up basically getting Davon involved in this. And, you know, basically, she blames Davon for, Vanessa's trying to be like, well, there's nothing going on there. It's all me. And, it's all you. You don't know what you're talking about. And basically, Davon comes in, and Davon just gives her her 2 cents, which I think is awesome that Davon does this. And there are things I really liked about this fight and things I didn't. What I really loved was Davon calling Audrey on her shit, telling her that she needs a reality check and that nobody really likes her, and that she, needs to stop creating all this unnecessary drama and all this bullshit and just focus on the game. I mean, really, Audrey is playing way too hard. There's not one moment. I've not seen one moment in this house where Audrey is not like, don't put me up, don't put me up. I want this person out. Like, she plays way too hard. She never has some downtime and just doesn't talk game. I never have seen that. And that's something that's not good in the house. She's not liked by anyone at this point, and her and Davon get into this whole fight. What I didn't like about this is Davon ends up calling this whole house meeting just to figure out, who was the cause of this. And Vanessa goes ape shit on Audrey, and I like seeing Vanessa get involved because Vanessa to me seemed like a floater, and she's not at all, which I think is really good. And this is one of the seasons where there are barely any floaters. The only floater I see this season is Jackie and Liz, or as I like to call her, Lizulia, because Liz and Julia. I'll get into them, but they're really the only floaters, and Lizulia is a floater because they're just laying low because of the whole twin twist, which we will definitely get into that. There's a lot to talk about with that. But, basically, that's what happened with that whole situation. So this makes Becky and pretty much think that Audrey's the target, which I can see that. I mean, nobody really likes Audrey. Nobody wants her in the house, and Shelli's on board with it. So basically, that's what they plan on doing. However, they plan on backdooring her, just like last week, how Jace was the target. Sorry, guys, there's a fly in here. I'm trying to ignore it. But basically, just like last week, it's something I like this season also is that they know how to get rid of people. You don't get rid of people just by putting them up on the block. No, you get rid of them by backdooring them, taking them by surprise. That's something I think they did very well with these past few weeks. So, not so much this week, but last week definitely they did a very good job with that. So, basically their plan is to backdoor Audrey, and I think that's really good. So, Shelli decides to basically put up Davon and Davon and Johnny Mac, basically, who Johnny Mac, I have to talk about him. He's becoming one of my favorite players in the house by far. But here's the thing with Davon. She doesn't intend to actually backdoor Audrey. She thinks that Davon wouldn't save her than Audrey would, because we see in the diary room that Davon's not happy that Shelli won. She doesn't really think that Shelli has trust, and she really hasn't given her a reason to trust her. I mean, think about that whole alliance and everything. They kind of all turned their back on it, and Shelli tried to form something. If you remember, she tried to, I mean, pretty much stuff started to happen between the two of them when Davon didn't choose Shelli for safety week 1 when, she had that opportunity to. So that really, I think, is what caused the two of them to have as much friction as they did. So pretty much she thinks her target is Davon. However, Becky does not know this, and she puts up Jason and Steve, and they're both pawns, basically. So Becky pretty much thinks that Audrey's going home, and I like seeing that. I thought that was something else I like seeing. But something else I liked about Sunday night's episode is that we don't just see them just talking strategy the whole time. We actually see them socializing with people, trying to get to know them better. In the first few weeks, when you're in HOH, you want to try to socialize with people. You want to get on their good side, show that you're a good player, but you're also a really fun person. Becky gets into this whole crazy story about her and this train. It's pretty hilarious. I mean, what she's saying, yeah, it's really sad, but she says it in such a funny and, just like casual way, and I love that about her, really. I think that's awesome that Becky did that. I mean, she really made it seem like it wasn't a big deal at all, and it was really funny, I have to say, definitely. I really am enjoying Becky as a player. I mean, we didn't see much of her, but now that we have seen more of her, I can definitely tell that Becky is actually a very intelligent player, and that's something I definitely am really enjoying. There really is no one dumb in the house, and I really, maybe Jackie. Jackie's not the brightest, the sharp, Jackie's definitely not the brightest. I mean, she's not, like, Victoria dumb, but she's pretty not that smart. She's really not. She's not really thinking game either. You can tell she's not thinking of game. Which is not really her fault, because she was basically forced to come back into the game, but, that wasn't her decision. But that's something I really like seeing was Becky telling the story about the train. I thought that was definitely very funny. But basically what ends up happening is that they start to talk about what they really want to do. Now, a lot of people are talking about, oh, Clay just controlled Shelli the whole time, and I would completely disagree with this. Shelli and Clay work as a team, and I honestly really do like these two together. And you know why I like this? Because there's no, like, manipulating, there's no controlling here. No one's controlling anyone. I mean, yeah, the only person that's really controlling anyone in the house is Audrey. Audrey's like the puppet master right now, and Audrey pretty much knows that she's not safe at this point. Like, she pretty much thinks that she's going home, which I thought was pretty interesting. And when nominations go up, she's shocked out of her mind that she's not up there, and I thought that was really interesting. And Jason pretty much thinks that he's a target, along with Davon, who they start to get a much, closer as friends in the game this week, which I like seeing. I like seeing their friendship overall. I like seeing it evolve, as the game goes on. Something I like seeing in general, just seeing these, these guys create relationships and friendships as the game progresses, because that's one of the things you need to do when you're locked in a house as long as you are. You need to create some sort of relationships, and I like that Jason and Davon stuck with each other and said, you know what, we're going to do this together, and that's something I really like, is how much they had each other's back. That's something I think is really good. But back to Shelli and Clay, I really like this pairing. I know a lot of people don't like Clay. Clay, to me, I don't think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a big guy, but I think people just misread him. I mean, Clay's one of those people where you just don't judge a book by its cover. You really don't. I mean, yeah, as I said, he's a big guy. He is, but The thing about Clay that I really do like is that he actually does listen to Shelli. He gives her good advice, and they work together as a team. They have that bond. That's something I really do like about the two of them, and that's something I think is really good about Shelli and Clay. So I really do like this pairing, I have to say. I can understand if you guys don't, but I personally really do like them working together. And basically, they tell John that they want him to throw the Battle of the Block completely, so that way Shelli will stay HOH and she can get rid of Davon, which again, she hasn't really notified Becky about. But lo and behold, John is really in this tough position here because, Johnny Mac, Johnny Mac, whatever you want to call him, he doesn't know if he should do this or not, which, I mean, it's a tough decision, really. I mean, it could be, because pawns do go home, and I like that they know that pawns do go home at points, and, he ultimately does nothing in the Battle of the Block. He basically has Davon do everything. What is it with Big Brother in movies this year? I don't understand. I mean, every challenge this week was just Kathy Griffin's movie, Ginger Fever this, Ginger Fever that. When's this damn movie coming out? Because, I mean, they're promoting it so much that I kind of want to see it, pretty crazy, but basically, Davon, pretty much, they lose, and Steve and Jason win. Becky's dethroned, and Shelli's the official HOH. So, basically, that's everything that happened Sunday. Really enjoyed Sunday's episode as a whole. Thought it was definitely very good. And, let's get into last night's episode, which, again, pretty crazy. Davon starts to really feel alone in the house at this point. The only people she really has is Jason. That really is the only person she thinks has her back, because everyone else is pretty much just campaigning to get her to go, and she knows that. And that's something I really like about Davon, is how smart she is. She knows when you're talking behind her back. She knows when you want her to go. She knows this stuff, and that's something I thought was really good. I have to say, she did a very good job with that. Audrey, on the other hand, again, still driving me nuts because she's trying to figure out why she's not going. And it's just like, Audrey, just lay low and everything will be fine. Because if Audrey would have laid low, then I feel like nobody really would have cared, honestly. Now, again, Becky doesn't know what's really going on. I like that Shelli told her, because if she hadn't told her, that couldn't end up really bad for her and Becky's gameplay. And I was hoping she wouldn't ruin that bond they had, because Becky seemed like a very good ally in the game. And you know what? Becky's on board with it. She thinks it's a good idea, maybe keep Audrey around. And, I think here's the reason why they don't want to get rid of Audrey. Audrey's a very strong player, and it is not because it has nothing to do with her being transgender. Davon, went on this whole tirade about it. It has nothing to do with that. I don't think that's why they're keeping her around at all. They're keeping Audrey around because she's a fierce competitor, and they know that if she wins HOH, they get on her good side. If they get on her good side right now, basically just guarantee her safety, she'll keep them around. And I really think that's why they're keeping her around, because they know how fierce she is, how strong she is, and that she probably will just stab all them in the back anyway. So that probably is why they're keeping her around, because if they didn't, she'd probably just turn on all of them, because Audrey's like a cannon, really, she is. And there's this huge scene with her and Clay where she's just like, I have you 100%. I'm like, Audrey, you're being, she's just trying to be as loyal as possible. I'm just like, Audrey, you're being way too loyal and you're trying way too hard. That's something about Audrey. She tries way too hard. And a lot of people compare her to Devin. I've heard people even compare her to Amanda, which I could see. I mean, the way she plays the game, she thinks she's running the house and she's really not. I mean, Audrey didn't do anything this week, honestly. She thinks she did, but she had nothing to do with anything this week. If anything, people are just trying to leave her alone and just trying to tell her, look, you're safe. So, Audrey, just get a grip, try to have fun in the game, and don't focus so much on, you leaving or not. I thought that was kind of annoying that she was doing that. Meanwhile, Shelli, basically, she tells John, basically, basically the POV ceremony happens, and, Johnny Mac ends up winning the POV, which I really like the POV competition, by the way. I thought it was kind of fun the way they did it with Kathy Griffin, them trying to pick different items. The thing with Jody, that was great because, I mean, just the way they did that was really funny. But Johnny Mac wins POV, and basically, he is in this really tough position again because Shelli actually wants him to not use it. And Johnny Mac makes it clear, he's just like, no! I mean, that was hilarious when he's in the diary room. I am just, that's hilarious. I mean, that is the moment that Johnny Mac became, in my opinion, a player that probably is going to get America's favorite. I'm calling it right now. Johnny Mac, this is going to be the guy that gets America's favorite. Really, I think he is. He is hilarious, and he's just such a fun guy as well. I mean, that's something I just love watching Johnny Mac play. He's great. But basically, he decides that he is going to use it, and this really puts Shelli in this tough position because she didn't actually think she'd have to do a replacement nominee, and she really doesn't know who to pick. So at first, she's thinking maybe Liz, Lizulia, as I said. Maybe Lizulia, and she's going to put him up, and they plan this and everything. However, obviously, they're freaking out because if one of them leaves, then the whole twin twist thing doesn't go well, which, we'll talk about that. Austin puts up this really good argument, though, that there is a 6-person, alliance, basically, and Meg is part of it, and if she got Meg to go home, then maybe, and if Meg was up there, then it'd be better for her, and I think it was a good lie that Austin told. I didn't think that Austin really had it in him, but you know what? Austin's kind of laid low, and I think that was really good that he did that. It showed how smart he was, and that was a really good move on his part. So what does Shelli do? She puts up Meg, and I thought that was a good move, honestly. I mean, we know that, everyone's going to go after Devon. Devon can try to rally the votes, but Meg pretty much has everyone. Everyone really loves Meg, and I thought that was really good that Shelli did that, I have to say. I thought that was a really good move on her part. So I was definitely a fan of that, I have to say. I definitely really enjoyed that. So, overall, last night's episode, again, really good. Let's get into tonight's episode, because a lot happened in tonight's episode. There's definitely a lot to talk about, and let's get into it. Again, Devon, as I said, pretty much feels alone, and she's calling everybody cowards, which I don't get that. I really don't. I don't think everyone's a coward. I mean, they wanted her to go home. I can see why they wanted her to go home. It's not that Devon is a bad person. In fact, they all said she's this great girl and everything. The reason they wanted Devon to go home, though, is because of the fact that she just is so strong, and she's just kind of playing too hard like Audrey. And honestly, it's not as bad as what Audrey's doing, but she definitely is playing too hard, and we're only on week 2, and definitely, you need to not have that stress in the game. You need to not have, with fierce competitors like that, you need to get rid of them early. And that's something I think is really good, that they know that, let's get these players out early, because they're going to be a threat to our gameplay. And Devon does whatever she can to try to get votes. I mean, just anything she can at this point. But then they think about the last laugh, because Kathy Griffin's thing hasn't happened yet. And basically, there are, if you guys don't remember, there's, the 7 calls, and basically, Devon thinks, you know what, I only need 5 votes to get evicted. So she thinks if she gets 3 people out, she gets 3 people to not vote, maybe she has a chance in staying. And guess what happens? Devon ends up becoming the 7th caller, and basically she has a decision to make on who 3 people she wants to get rid of. And Shelli, I honestly kind of felt bad for Shelli, because Shelli's crying. She feels like she made a huge mistake getting rid of Devon, because now she feels like maybe it's not going to work out. And I thought it was interesting the way they did that. I mean, for a while, you really don't know if Devon's going to go home or not, which is something I thought was really well done. I mean, other seasons it's been inevitable, and honestly, it's kind of like the house is split this season, which I really do like. And I like seeing a house, go with their own emotion, go with their own, go with their gut, rather than go as a house. That's something I think is really good this season, something I'm really enjoying, I have to say. So then let's get into this whole twin business, because I really do want to talk about it. By the way, Devon even tried to go back to Audrey, and they were supposedly going to try to work together, because she had a vote from Vanessa. Vanessa was going to possibly keep her. Johnny Mac was possibly going to keep her. Lizulia was possibly going to keep her. And now we get into this whole twin twist, because of course, Lizulia, the reason I call them that, because Liz and Julia, I basically call them Lizulia. Until they separate, I'm going to call them Lizulia, okay? Okay. So, basically, they're doing great with their whole twin thing. It's always really funny to see them switch and just, be pissed at each other because what they did. I definitely think is very funny. But, basically, Devon starts to notice things, and this just shows how observant these house guests are, because she starts to realize that Julia is much, chubbier and Liz is a lot skinnier, and she definitely starts to realize that there definitely is something going on. She knows that there's a pair of twins in the house. And Jason, being the Big Brother fanatic that he is, remembers that in Big Brother 5, they had the Big Brother twin twist. So they pretty much start to think that Liz is a twin. And of course they're right, and they don't know if they're right or not. But basically, I like the way Devon handled this. That I thought was really good, because she goes to Julia, who is pretending to be Liz, and she basically calls her out on it. She says, there could be a pair of twins in the house, but if you stick with me, I'm going to give you full safety, and no one will come after you and everything. I like what she was trying to do there. Honestly, I thought that was a good thing that she did, and if she wanted to get safety, that was a good move, definitely, that she did that. And I definitely was happy that Devon did something to try to get safety. That was definitely a very good move on her part, I have to say. I was very impressed by that. But unfortunately, it just does not work in the end, because we do get to the votes, and the 3 people she chose was really interesting. She chose Becky, Jeff, and Jackie, and I was thinking she was going to choose Clay, because her and Clay have been, like, blood and water, and I didn't think, she wants Clay to be in this, but she does choose Clay to, basically, she doesn't choose Clay. She chooses Becky, who I can understand why she chose Becky. She allied with Shelli, and she knew that probably whatever Shelli wanted, she would listen to, Becky would listen to Shelli. I can understand that. With Jeff and Jackie, I'm not really sure why she chose Jeff and Jackie. Maybe she doesn't know where their loyalties lie. I really don't know why Jeff and Jackie, out of everyone, why she would choose them. But basically, what ends up happening is most of them, I like that it was split somehow. I believe it was like 4 to 7 or something like that. I'm not really sure. Some of them vote for Meg, and some of them vote for Devon, and ultimately Devon does end up going home. Which, how did I feel about that? I was kind of happy, because she knew was gonna happen, and after all she'd been through. Not really all she'd been through, but everything that happened, I don't really think if Devon were to stay in the house, she still probably would have gone home next week. Like, I was thinking to myself, if Meg goes home this week, Devon's going home next week. Like, if Meg goes home this week, Devon's going home next week. That definitely is going to happen. And Shelli did it. She got Devon out. And what Devon says about the house guests, I don't necessarily agree with. I do understand where she's coming from, but I don't really agree with everything she says, because she talks about how all the house guests are basically cowards, and that we shouldn't trust them, and that they don't really want to make big moves. And it's like, Devon, that was a huge move that they just made. I mean, I don't think Devon realizes that she's as strong as Audrey. Like, I don't think she really realizes that it's not that they thought that she was, threatening or anything. It's basically that she, essentially, the reason that they got her out is just because, yeah, they love her to death, and she's very kind. In fact, a lot of them were really upset that they got her out, which I actually like seeing, that these people have emotions, which I think is good. Very layered house guest this season. But they got her out because she's just a fierce competitor, and that's something I thought was really well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that, I have to say. So, that I was very happy with. And her exit interview I thought was really good. What Audrey said, that was uncalled for. When Audrey's like, oh, karma, oh, the power, she's like, the power of karma got you, Devon. You know what? The power of karma. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up, Audrey. Seriously. And, like, I do agree with Devon that maybe she does have a right to be upset with her because she promised they'd work together. But Audrey ruined that when when she didn't, when she had that whole fight with Devon. It really is Audrey's fault, and I don't think Audrey realizes that. Because Audrey never blames herself for anything, because Audrey doesn't think she did anything wrong. That's something I think is really annoying about Audrey. And I really hope that Audrey's a target next week. I really do. And honestly, I liked her. I think she's a good person. I just think she's playing way too hard. She really is, and I mean, maybe she could become better, maybe they'll keep her around, and maybe she'll become a better player, but for right now, I think she's just playing way too hard. Especially for the first few weeks, please, just lay low, it'd be a lot better. I like that Lizulia did admit that they are twins. That's something I thought was really well done. I definitely really enjoyed that. But basically, she's sent home, and Davon's gone. So BB Takeover this week is by some guy from NFL. I don't even know who he is. Don't kill me. Guys, you know I know nothing about sports. You know that. Um all I know is that he's this really popular guy. I don't really know anything about him. I don't watch sports. All the only sports I watch are the Super Bowl. Sorry about that. But that's me. Uh, yeah. So I didn't know who that guy was at all. But basically, his takeover is pretty much is stupid. It really is stupid. His takeover is literally, oh, there's no have-nots this week. Here's the thing, I honestly don't care if the takeover has an impact on the house gets or not because they actually know how to play the game. Like, they know what they're doing, and a lot of people have said this, that it's actually good that the takeover isn't affecting the game a lot because of the fact that they're just creating drama on their own, and they know how to stir up trouble, and that's something I think is really good. That they're just getting into drama themselves, and that's something I like seeing. Honestly, no, I don't like seeing people just starting fights for no reason, but I like seeing people playing a good game of Big Brother, and that's what these people are doing. They know how to play Big Brother, and that's something I think is awesome. So the HOH competition is pretty much what I guess it's like the beer pong thing, where they always throw the ball into the thing and they have to get the highest number pretty much. So it went on for a little while because there's a three-way tie between it was Liz, James, and Vanessa. And Vanessa ended up winning, and also Austin. So those are two people that I didn't think would ever get HOH, but this really proves that these people are very strong competitors, and they're willing to win, and they really do want to go out there and do some damage control. And I've already heard them. I've already heard them say that Audrey is the target, which great. Let's get her out of this house before she goes to jury. Because I swear to God, if they keep her around till jury, I'm gonna be really pissed. Because think about Audrey, she's not gonna care about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just really annoying, really. And I don't agree with what Davon said about the whole transgender thing. I don't agree with that at all. I think that, as I said, they want to keep Audrey around because they're kind of just, they know she's a fierce competitor and maybe she'd keep them safe. And I was so happy the second that she got 17. I'm like, please get a 0. Like, I honestly wanted her to get a 0 because if she would have gotten HOH, I would have been really pissed. The game would have been horrible. And thank God she didn't get HOH. I mean, that's karma, Audrey. What you said to Davon about karma, yeah, karma bites you in the ass as well. So, there's karma for you, Audrey. That was pretty awesome, I have to say. But overall, guys, that's basically it for this week of Big Brother. Let's talk about this whole Lizulia situation, though, because obviously they're still playing the game. They're still doing the whole twin twist, because again, guys, people have asked, well, why don't they just stop doing the twist? The deal is they make the first 5 evictions, they get to play as 2 separate people, which is pretty awesome. And then I'll stop calling them Lizulia. Once they get to play as 2 separate people, I'll call them Liz and Julia. But for right now, since they're one person, I'm going to call them Lizulia. Even though that sounds like a dinosaur, I don't really care. That actually sounds like a pretty cool, like, dinosaur or something like that. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Maybe they should make a Jurassic Park movie and have a dinosaur called Lizulia. I'm really not sure. Overall, guys, really great week. Really loving Big Brother, I have to say. I thought this was a really good week overall. I definitely really enjoyed this week. Audrey seems like she's the target. I think Vanessa and Austin are very fair people. They're going to be very good HOHs, and I'm interested in seeing who they put up because, honestly, they haven't done too much in the game, and that's something I like, is when you have 2 players that lay low, but then they get HOH, you don't really know what they're going to do, so there's a lot of intrigue there. I mean, we pretty much know who's safe because, I mean, Vanessa and Austin, I mean, they're pretty fair people, definitely, as I said, and we pretty much know that probably Lizulia is safe. I already heard that they're safe, which is pretty cool. They've said their main target pretty much is Audrey, which I think is really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next week. So, that's basically this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this week of Big Brother. What's going to happen with Audrey? Is she going to be able to get out of the house next week, or is she going to be able to keep herself in the house? We'll have to see what happens about that. What do you feel about Davon's eviction? Do you agree with what she said about them keeping Audrey around? I really don't agree with that statement. I do think that they want to keep Audrey around for a specific reason, but it's not what Davon said. I don't think it really has anything to do with what she said. Lizulia, are they going to be able to continue this twin thing? I mean, obviously, a lot of people know. Pretty much the entire house knows now, which they didn't really get into because they just didn't have the time, but pretty much most of the house knows that they're twins, and we'll have to see how they keep that up. But as I said, if I had to pick house guest of the week, Johnny Mac by far, house guest of the week. Absolutely hilarious. He just has the potential to become America's favorite house guest. I mean, the moment where he just was like, "No, don't put me up." I mean, just his voice is so wacky, and I love it. And I mean, he always sounds like he's so, like, drunk or high, and it's hilarious, and you know he's not that kind of person, but I think that's hilarious that we saw that, and I just think he's a really great player overall. So overall, guys, in my review Big Brother this week, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this week in Big Brother, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Wayward Pines, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.